I brushed my beard out. Do I look beautiful?
Well, first of all, always.
You look like you've trimmed up a little bit there too. You got
Thank you.
the
Thank
nice
you.
trim goatee going. Did you have to go into the office?
No, it starts to itch. Like I really wanted the full beard, but it really
You got to push through the itch, baby.
I know.
It can take a couple of months. And you also gotta you gotta really take care of your skin, because that's where the itch comes from, is your skin dries out. And there's not a lot of stuff I'm an expert on, but I'm pretty good at
Having a
stuff.
beard.
Yeah, it's part of my. Anyways, we're just rambling here because we're not here to talk about beards. We're here to talk about guitars and other guitar stuff. And we're in for an exciting episode here because we've come up with some controversial stuff between us that's guaranteed to start some arguments here. And I know that's what gets people going on their internets. So before we get going, I want to welcome everybody out there, no matter where you're consuming this podcast, because we don't listen or watch anymore. We consume. That's how we engage with media. We consume. So I thank you for consuming, because here we are back with another episode of Different Strings, a guitar adjacent podcast. And I'm your host, Wes. And along with me is my friend Andrew, who is your other host. Say hello, Andrew.
Greetings, friends, and welcome to the Different Strings Guitar Adjacent podcast.
Yes, absolutely. And like I said, this week we're not a topic, we're a confrontation. Andrew and I are on the attack. We're going to see if either one of us can deliver fatality. That's an old video game reference for those of you that are old. And we're going to take each other to task for a bunch of different stuff. But first, Andrew, as always, kindly tell people where they can find us on the internet.
On the interwebs, you can find us at differentstringspodcast.com, where you will find blog posts, links to previous episodes, and eventually some other goodies as we continue to build our guitar adjacent empire.
There we go. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Hold on. I swore I wouldn't cry.
You're gonna be crying soon because we're going at it.
I'm going to, yeah, and we're also exploring a little bit of a different format. You know, last time we had our Q&A, even though the queuers did not know they were being queued. And you know, that's how
we didn't get consent. We did
not. And I, you know, any other day I'd probably say that was funny, and I'm going to go with that was funny, but with a guarded funny.
There you go.
Right. But yeah, so we're abandoning our old appetizer, main course, dessert format, and we're moving to an opener and a headliner format. So we're gonna try to keep the episode timelines down a little bit. We're splitting out the Music That Matters segment into its own show, which is still going to be right here on the Different Strings podcast channels, and you can enjoy those separately and as fun, because I think they're fun. So we're going to start off with our opening act, which is our question. Instead of two questions, we're going to ask one question. And Andrew, what's the question you've cooked up for us tonight?
My friend, so because it was one question, I had to make it extra spicy.
Yeah, make it spicy.
Wait, hold on. That's the old metaphors, right? The food. All right.
Right. We've moved on to the concert metaphor.
All right. I found a good opening act for us.
Excellent.
Right. So, this one stumped me. It took me a minute actually to answer my own question. So I'm curious to know what you come up with. So, all right, Wes.
Hit me.
You've been sucked into an alternate reality.
Okay.
Where the brands and models of gear you have right now, no longer exist.
Okay.
Okay. That's right. No more Fender, Paul Reed Smith, no more Peavey. I see Marshall back there. No more Marshall.
Oh no!
You have problems. They no longer exist. Okay.
None of these things exist.
Nope.
Oh no.
However, you still want to play guitar.
I do.
You haven't lost the will to live. You still want to play guitar. Your budget has not changed. Whatever your budget is today,
okay,
that's your budget in the future. What is the first guitar and amp you're buying?
Oh man, no PV really. Because normally I would say,
Brands and
and
models.
right.
Brands and models. I was very
Okay.
specific.
Yes, you were. Um, let's see. I have been eyeballing a Schecter model called the MV6,
Hmm.
which comes in a beautiful purple color with a exotic wood neck. I don't remember what it is, Wenge or something like Cerakote, not rosewood, but rosewood adjacent. Um, and it has a pretty flat fretboard radius, which is not my favorite thing in the world. I like a little bit of a curve, but it has 3 single coil pickups set up in a 2-1 format instead of 1-1-1. There's not really a middle pickup. There's the two bridge single coils are right next to each other, and then there's a neck single coil. And I've been eyeballing that guitar. They cost about I want to say maybe $800 new, maybe $900. You can get them right now. There's not a lot of them out there, so the used prices are still pretty high, 650, 700.
Hmm.
Made their imports. I'm not sure exactly where they're made, but not in the USA. And then for an amp, I know a lot of people like the model called, or the brand called Black Star.
Hmm.
And they've got a little 10-watt all tube combo. And they got it in 2 versions, a 6L6 and an EL34. I'm an EL34 fan. As you can tell from behind me, I like EL34s and EL84s. But there's also oranges are good, I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Orange makes a little 210 combo, and I love me a 210 combo.
Mm.
It's kind of like an AC30, but it's only got 10-inch speakers in it. Kind of that like that. And those are a little more expensive. They're about 1,200 new,
Okay.
from what I remember, about maybe 8 or 9 used. And I could do those, Schecter and Orange. I think I could do that. No PV, really? I can't have a PV. I can't even have a classic 50.
Do you want a
Okay,
PV now?
I do.
Then in this alternative universe, you don't have a PV. There's no PV.
Okay, well, what are you going to do? You're screwed, man. You have all nice guitars.
This is why I struggled with this. So funny, I didn't really until I saw your answer, my answer didn't come to me.
Okay,
As soon as I looked at your answer, I'm like, oh, I know what I'm going to do. So the guitar I've missed the most in my collection is the Tyler
right.
because it's a jack of all trades.
Because the Tyler.
Because it's Tyler. So I started thinking about what's out there in my budget that would replace a Tyler. And I can't, it's a super strat, but since I have a truckload of Fenders, can't go with a Fender.
Right. Yeah.
And I've played a bunch of super strats on the market right now. Not a fan of them, except one or two,
Well,
I should say.
okay.
Sir. No, Sir.
Yes.
SUHR. You
Made in North
jackass.
Carolina. I'm quite familiar. They make amps too.
Did you say Sir's made in North Carolina? I thought they were California. John Sir.
I'm thinking of, it starts with a C, and they only make amps. They don't make guitars. You're right. Sirs are made in California.
All right, listen, I don't mind if we give out misinformation, but it has to be intentional as a joke.
Yes, that was not funny. Amps made in North Carolina. Google tells me CARR, CARR. Those are made in North Carolina. I only know that because a buddy of mine used to make cabinets for them.
Okay. Oh,
He
neat.
worked in their wood shop.
So I'm thinking Sir or an Anderson.
Yeah, those are both really high quality S type guitars.
Yep.
And you can get them, from what I remember, looking at their websites and drooling a little bit over their lines, you can get them kind of vintage correct, but you can also get very super stratty too. You can get, double locking humbuckers, flat radii. That's the plural for radius.
So I'd probably go with something very similar to what the Tyler is now, which is an HSS an HSS setup, humbucker single, not a locking tremolo, but locking tuners is fine. So just a standard tremolo. And honestly, the Pete Thorne model is probably a hot ticket for me. Not because of Pete Thorne, but because it
because of
was
the specs.
designed, yeah, it was designed with Pete in mind. And what's Pete if not a very prolific studio player who has to show up in the studio prepared for pretty much anything?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think about the spec that his guitar is right up there. I've never played a Sir I didn't like. The only thing I don't love is stainless steel frets. I don't love that, but
Yeah.
I could live with it.
Is it
Anderson,
the feel or the tone?
yes.
Gotcha.
However, mostly the uh, mostly the feel, which most people like them for. But there's something I don't like about the stiffness of the stainless steel.
Yeah.
So,
I can
um,
dig that. I I can't tell a huge tonal difference, but they definitely feel really different to me. And I haven't played them enough to like them. I've
mhm.
only played them enough to not like them.
Which ones are we talking about?
Stainless steel frets.
Oh, yeah. I have, you know what? Let me take that back. I just realized
That was rewinding it.
I do have one guitar in the house with stainless steel frets. It is, however, a very modern sounding guitar. It's a Jackson Misha Mansour, his six string, the original one that came out years ago.
Another signature model.
Yes, now my son has it now, and
He's taking it.
because Gen X, and I mean it sounds, for a modern guitar, it's incredible. Now the thing
Yeah.
is, I do like stainless steel frets on modern sounding instruments. I think it's perfect. I wouldn't like it on a vintage spec guitar.
Yeah.
It just wouldn't feel right to me. Okay, enough of that. For
Yeah,
amps,
that does seem a little like, why would you do that? Why would you put stainless steel frets on a 1965 Strat? That just seems
not a fan.
incongruous. For an amp,
Yeah,
you would do what for an amp?
believe it or not, and also another Sir, the Sir Badger. They uh, the
No.
Badger, Chef's
Chef's
Kiss,
kiss.
good. I got to how I haven't gotten one in the house yet is I don't know what drugs I'm smoking, but first of all, they're not that expensive. I mean, if you think about a high premium amplifier build,
Right.
they are not that expensive. Sir makes some expensive amps. That's not one of them. It's not that expensive. It's really not that
Yeah.
expensive.
Well, I think
Um,
a lot of the high-end boutique makers, you know, Dr. Z, Sir, Carr, Bad Cat, Friedman, they have the ones that are like $4,000 for just the head, but they also have reasonably priced ones. And, you know, I'm a big fan of buying used amps, you know, because,
mm,
you know, especially newer, I either want a newish used amp or a vintage new amp, a
mhm.
used amp. I don't want something from the 80s or 90s. You know, it's not old enough to be really sturdy, and it's not new enough to have modern quality control, you know?
Here's the real question. We never
Hit
got
me.
into this. I should have asked this one too. What if it applied to pedals? Where would we be going with this? Because I just started thinking, if it, I
I
know,
don't even know.
I know,
No.
but if the Kemper disappeared, and I'm not using it right now, but if the Kemper disappeared, what would I do? Like, if
Line
I couldn't
6.
use the Kemper, no,
No.
I'm not sure I would. I'm not sure I would. Now, I'm not even sure I'd go with an Axe Effects. I I'd have to think about this. I know you're like, well, what else is there?
Well, I mean, there's Kemper
Head Rush.
and yeah, and Axe Effects, and what's the Helix?
It's line 6.
That's line 6. Okay. I'm sure Boss makes a unit.
I have Boss pedals in the house.
Oh, you can't have that. Huh.
See, I don't want to go down this road. We'll be here for hours. But
Yeah.
but think about, what if the pedals we had right now? I mean, I'm talking. I have UA pedals. Universal Audio pedals, by the way, are stinking good. And I was
Yeah.
thinking of replacing the Kemper with a Dream 65 pedal, their amplifier pedal, and running a pedal rig, all my pedals in front of a pedal.
Yeah,
And you're like, well, how good could that sound?
it can.
Unbelievable. But if Universal Audio, Boss, JHS, Dunlop were not in, they didn't exist, I'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
Actually, an Iridium, a Strymon Iridium.
You don't have any Strymon pedals right now?
Nope.
Oh, there you go. You're safe then, because they make one that'll fit.
You, on the other hand, are in deep trouble.
I am, but I could get all Fender pedals. I don't have any Fender pedals.
You could.
I'm not saying they'd be awesome, but they've got a bunch of different kinds.
You don't have any UA pedals right now, do you?
No, that's true, but they're spendy, man. They're
They are.
expensive,
They
and it's
are.
hard to find them used at what I consider a good price.
Yeah, no, you're all right. That was fun.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Now,
are
listen.
we ready to get busy and start? Is it SmackDown time? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, you know, I want to. It kind of is, and I want to go off topic here, off script, as it were.
Oh,
Because I'm hot about a couple things, not necessarily angry, but I'm like, I want to talk about a couple things. And you mentioned, tell me the two signature guitars you just talked about. The Jackson is Somebody Mimosa.
oh, son of a bitch. Misha Mans, dude, he is a pioneer in the genre. You need to show some.
I'm pushing your buttons, man.
You need to. I know. You need to show some respect for him.
I do. I honestly never heard of the guy, and I apologize to Misha and his parents.
Okay, I strongly, first of all, Periphery is the cat's pajamas. When you talk about progressive, they are absolutely showing up on Music That Matters real soon. And it may sound funny coming from what am I, Gen X? I think I don't know.
You're a Gen X.
So I don't want to get off topic, but that he is definitely coming up. Misha Mansour and the Periphery gang is coming up on a Music That Matters. I can't leave them out.
I'm looking forward to
it. I will send you recommendations. Okay. The other one was Pete Thorne.
Pete Thorne, right? With the Sir. So
now, I know where you're going with this, and I just want to say right now, both of those guys, in my opinion, pretty good guitar players.
I would go now, knowing you, I would have to say that Misha Mansour is probably a monster player.
Player.
I feel very comfortable saying Pete Thorne is absolutely a monster player.
Yeah.
Right. He's not like in any one band. He kind of plays in studio, and he tours with people, and he does pretty good videos too. I mean, I enjoy watching his videos. He's one of the few people out there
that I can tolerate. Just say it.
Yeah, that I can tolerate, because he doesn't come across as a shill.
No,
he never comes across as a shill.
Very authentic, genuine.
RJ Ronquillo is the other guy that I really like his videos from that perspective.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if you know this, Andrew, but in the last week,
hit me.
Fender Fender as an umbrella, right? Because Fender owns a lot of companies, has announced two kind of long-awaited signature models that everybody kind of knew was coming, but nobody was sure when they were going to drop, as the kids say. And that is the Guild Polara Kim Thale signature and the Mike McCready signature Fender Strat.
Can I draw attention to the fact that I completely forgot that Fender owned Guild?
Yes, absolutely. You can.
No idea. I completely forgot
for probably 20 or 25 years. It's been a long time.
Completely forgot they were part of FMIC. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And so the Kim Thale Polara, it's like, think of an SG that's slightly longer in the body, and then the horns are a little offset, right? And that's based on a model they made in the 70s called the Polara, the S100 Polara.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he is, if you see a picture of Kim Thale playing a guitar, an electric guitar, other than a Polara, I will eat a printout of the picture, right? Because that's what he plays. kind of
All right, folks. So I think we just heard a challenge
a
on the
challenge,
throne. Send
right?
a picture of Kim but it can't be photoshopped. It can't be AI generated.
No. So they got two versions of this coming out. They got one that's black with gold hardware, and it's going to be $900. So I'm assuming that is an Indonesia or Korean import. And then they have the super special version, which is white with gold hardware. They both have block inlays. The American made one, which they're calling the Guild USA Artist Edition, which is fancy, is already back ordered everywhere that you can back order it. They're only making, I think, 300 of them.
Uh-oh.
And this page that I'm looking at, which says, sorry, this guitar is no longer available. The price has already been removed from it. But I found one on Reverb that is going for $7,000 brand new.
Excuse me?
I did not stutter, sir. I did not. But wait, there's more. Okay, now we're talking, this is a set neck, solid body guitar from the Guild custom shop, essentially. All right, even though they're making 300 of them. So,
A limited run,
limited edition, whatever you want to call it, only in white. The import version is only available in black. They've got special Guild pickups in them, standard controls, and I think it's a phase switch, which of course only works when the two pickups are on together in the middle position on that three-way toggle, right? So I think Kim Thale is probably one of the weirdest guitar players around, because he just does stuff that almost
in a good
seems,
way.
Yeah, in a good way, right? Very creative, super creative. I think it's probably long overdue that he's gotten a signature guitar, but it's a weird guitar, right? Guild, when you think of Guild, when I think of Guild, I don't think of electric guitars. I think of acoustic guitars, except for my Brian May electric guitar, which is a Guild. before BFMIC, before Fender owned them, right? So now getting back to Fender, and here's the one that I'm actually hot about. Like, congratulations to Kim and Guild. I think they're going to sell probably hundreds of these. They'll certainly sell out the 300 USA made ones, and I would expect them maybe to sell even a couple thousand of the import version. Well deserved, cool guitar. I played a couple of vintage examples. Get them used now while they're hot for only, $1,400 or $1,500, because they're going to get it more expensive once people decide they're not dropping $7,000 on a USA custom.
Yeah.
But Fender also announced a Mike McCready Stratocaster.
Who's that?
Mike McCready was in a band called Pearl Jam. I'm sorry, is in a band called Pearl Jam. They are still around, and he is not passed on. You might remember them from such songs as Even Flow and Alive and Jeremy. Basically, you haven't heard anything by them since their first album.
Are they part of the are they part of the grunges?
They're part of the grunges, right?
Okay.
But so they've been around, they've been putting out albums steadily, touring. They are huge. And they did a run of Mike McCready custom shops a few years back that I think sold new for $15,000. And now I saw one listed used for $24,000. And I'm not joking.
If the sound you're hearing of that silence, that's my heart stopping.
Yeah, that's your heart stopping. And these are, so they're Sunburst Strats, kind of run of the mill Strats.
The new ones, the ones are okay. Not the $15,000 ones we're talking.
No. They're based on McCready's 1960 Sunburst, two-tone Sunburst Strat that he bought with the money that he made from Pearl Jam's first album. So he did not use it to record 10. He used it on everything after that, and he said he's used it on everything after that. But here's the thing, okay, right? So it is road worn, which is Fender's code for relic when it's not coming out of the custom shop, right? And they only do that with, do you know which line they do the road warns with? Say
I
it.
do.
Say it.
The Made in Mexico line.
Made in Mexico. So the Mike McCready Strat is made in Mexico, and it features, and I'm reading this right off the Fender website, a handcrafted, heavily road worn lacquer finish, recreating the battle scars Mike's own Strat has earned over 3 decades of grueling, sold out tours and legendary performances.
Mm.
And I saw Pearl Jam play once as a headliner. I'll give them grueling. They're right up there with Bruce Springsteen on the length of the show. It just went on and on and on and on and on. And I finally left. I don't know how much longer it went on after I left. I heard all the songs I knew, and then I left.
You went after that. You went to a Grateful Dead show.
Yeah. Actually, I just went home. But here's the thing, right? So even though it's based on a 1960 Strat, it should have a 7.25 inch
yes, it
fretboard
should,
radius,
because the 1960 Strat.
Yep.
I'm sorry,
it has
what?
a 9.5 inch fretboard radius.
Okay.
Okay,
We're already,
so
it's not vintage. It's not vintage spec, correct?
no, but who knows how many times Mike has had his guitar refretted, and it's not that hard to change the radius. It's not hard to flatten the radius of a guitar while you're refretting it. You can't, of course, make it more curved. Well, you can, but that would really damage the neck, to be perfectly honest. But here's the kicker, right? Made in Mexico. The retail price, the MSRP, is $1,899.99. $1,900 for a road-worn Stratocaster made in Mexico.
With Mike McCready's name on it.
With Mike McCready's full signature on the back of the headstock. $1,900 does come with a hard case. Most made in Mexico guitars do not come with hard case.
Okay.
They come with gig bag.
Okay. Thank you, Fender.
$1,900, Andrew. That cost $500 more than the least expensive US made Strat right now, which is the American Performer.
$500 more than the least expensive American made Strat.
Yeah.
So you can buy an American made Strat for $500 less than the made in Mexico McCready model.
Yeah. Yeah. You can. You can actually buy an American professional Strat for $150 less than a Mike McCready Strat.
And if you wanted another made in Mexico Strat that wasn't a McCready, but was like just a run-of-the-mill decent Strat, what are you going to pay for that?
Just a run-of-the-mill decent Strat, like a Performer, like a Mexican-made Strat. Those are about $1,000.
Okay.
So it's almost twice as much as like a normal made in Mexico Strat.
So you brought this up to what? To shock me into having convulsions and dying?
Yeah, pretty much. I don't get it. I mean, I get the whole SIG model thing. I love a good SIG model. I've had several of them.
So this isn't about who deserves a signature model.
No. I think whoever deserves it is who the company thinks deserves it, because anybody, if you recognize their name, they deserve it. They've put in the work.
Do you, just asking a question I think I know the answer to, do you think this will sell well?
I think it's going to sell like gangbusters, to be perfectly honest.
So do I.
And there are so many Pearl Jam fans out there. I think it's going to sell hand over fist.
Yeah, I think, look, I'm struggling with this one too. I think it's a
$1,900, Andrew. $1,900.
Yeah. So I had a stronger reaction to it this morning, but I've had a day to chew on it. My reaction this morning was, there was some words like cash grab money grubbing, pretentious. I was a little hot under the collar about this, um, because I do think Fender and, sorry, McCready are cashing in a little bit on the name.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything about this guitar that makes it so special that it warrants the price tag that it's being given.
No.
I don't. And I think it's a shame that it will sell well, because then no one will punish Fender for this decision. Um, Fender is allowed to make money. Last I checked, they operate in a capitalist society, and they're allowed to price things at how the market will bear.
Yeah.
I'm sure they know
Absolutely.
what they're doing, and that's fine. And actually, now I'm not even mad at them for it. I've had a day to chew on it. And what I honestly think is, I've, in the past, I've played road worn strats.
Are they any good? I've never played one, to be perfectly honest.
Well, the road worn that I did play also had like a road worn neck.
Okay.
Might have been one of the most comfortable necks I've ever played.
Nice.
I kid you not. I seriously questioned how they were able to make that great of a guitar at that price that they were making it. I was
Was it
really
$1,900?
no, it was significantly less. Um,
$1,900, Andrew.
if you bought, yeah, I know it's so a good road worn, if the neck is also like road worn, I think it's a great guitar. Not $1,900 great, but here's the thing, you know, uh, you can't get a true relic instrument from Fender unless you go custom shop.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Unless, or road worn,
Right.
and road worn is, um, and look, there's nothing against the Mexico factory. Going to be honest, they put out some decent stuff.
They do actually, I think they make perfectly acceptable guitars.
Right. The reason that their guitars are cheaper is not because they're not good at what they do.
No, it's because the labor is cheaper
And
and they're putting less lower quality electronics in many of them.
so, right. So let's talk about that for a minute. Nothing against the Mexico factory. I told you I recently, I might have been in a personal conversation, that I've played Mexican strats that I think blow away some American ones.
Agreed.
So it's not about, but knowing, right? You and I both know where the money goes for these guitars. It's labor and parts and materials, and it's costing Fender peanuts to put these together.
Yeah.
Peanuts.
Yeah. It
And
doesn't cost them. I mean, so I know from my time working in MI, right, the music industry, that typical wholesale price on a guitar for a small shop is typically going to be between 50 and 60% of MSRP. Right. So you take a $1,900 guitar, the average guitar store that buys two of them along with the rest of their Fender order is going to pay half of that. So they're going to pay about $1,100, right? No, 950, right? Math is hard. 950. They're going to pay about 950 for that guitar. Now, if you're a retailer like Guitar Center or Musician's Friend or Sweetwater or any of the, or Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center that buys huge numbers of Fender guitars from all the ranges, they're going to discount it below that 50% mark, and they can keep going. So typically manufacturer's cost is about 30 to 35% of MSRP for production line instruments.
Yeah.
So it ain't costing Fender $1,000 to make those things. It's probably costing them about $400 or $500.
I got to be honest with you. If I wanted, I know, well, no one cares what I think. Have you looked at Nash guitars?
No, never heard of them.
Really? Look up Nash guitars. Yeah, look them up right now. You have the internet in front of you.
I do. I
Nash
have the Google.
guitars. Now, I've never owned one. I have played one. Nash guitars are, Bill Nash is the guy.
Fender copies.
Makes Fender copies. They don't have Fender's name on them. They are relic. They're period correct in most cases.
They look nice. I see a Tele bass, a jazz bass, Strats, Teles, Jazz Master, P
Lawler
bass.
Lawler Imperials,
Yeah.
or Lawler pickups, I meant.
I mean, from 25 feet away, you wouldn't know it's not a Fender.
No. You see prices on them?
Nope.
Okay.
Let me see. Let me click on something
If you
here.
go to, I think Chicago Music Exchange carries them brand new.
Okay.
I guess what I'm saying is, if this is about owning a guitar with Mike McCready's signature on it, then spend the money.
Yeah.
Or, in my opinion, wait until they hit the used market. Seriously, they will. People are
Yeah,
going to buy
absolutely.
them. There's going to be at least, what do you think, 10, 15, 20, 25% of people that buy it are probably going to get rid of it after a while.
Oh yeah, I mean, the first thing people are going to do is flip them for $2,500.
Well, sure.
You
Depends on
know,
how long, yeah, on how long they stay unavailable right after they
yeah,
sell out.
the same thing that happened with the George Harrison Telecaster. You
Mhm.
know, people had it listed on Reverb the next day
Mhm.
after it came out for 40% markup over MSRP. They were selling them for $4,000, $4,500.
Yeah, my advice is, if you want one of these, wait till they hit the used market, but not immediately. Wait until they hit the used market at actually used prices.
Yeah, wait a year if you can stand it.
Yep. If you don't have to have one tomorrow.
Yeah, and get one
But
for 12 or 13 or $1,400.
yeah, but because I think no one's going to buy this guitar because it's a good Strat, and that's kind of a shame, because there's other good Strats out there for less.
Yeah, you can get an American Vintage 2 1961 Strat, exact same specs, except the AV2 has the proper fretboard radius for $300 more than the McCready Strat, and it's made in America.
Mm-hmm. But if you don't want to, if it's really about the guitar and you want a period correct Strat, but don't want to spend custom shop prices for a relic, get a Nash.
Yeah, yeah,
And
they're like
Nash is on,
$2,500.
and on the used market, they're less.
Yeah,
And there's plenty of them on the used market. Anyway, that's my thought on it. My
yeah,
thought is, hey,
it's a good
Fender,
thought.
you know, I mean, what do you think? What I think you're appropriately outraged, as am I,
Yeah.
because what really upsets me is what's happening to the middle market of guitars. There used to
What middle
be,
market, brother? What middle
what,
market? It's gone. Did I steal your thunder? I'm sorry.
um, no,
Hello.
but you're making, you made my point. What did I say earlier? It's the middle class is disappearing in this country, and so is the middle guitar market.
Yeah.
It's disappearing. I'm not sure what is happening or what's driving it. Inflation. It's, companies not recovering from COVID related issues.
Yeah.
It's just flat out greed. I don't know. But is it a coincidence that the McCready and the Kim Thale model came out around the same time, and they're both from like that same era?
No, I don't
Like,
think so.
like, what's happening in the
From
music
the
world?
same
Like,
company, basically.
yeah, if you're not paying attention, and I know you probably are, grunge is making a massive comeback right now.
Yeah. The
And
kids are liking it.
all 90s music is, all the shoegaze is
Yeah.
coming back. All the
Yeah.
grunge is
Fender just put out oh man, the dude's name is skipping my mind. The guy behind My Bloody Valentine. Amazing atmospheric shoegaze band. And they just put out like an update, a modern version of his favorite fuzz blender octave or pedal. It's huge.
the blender. Yep.
Yeah.
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 They know what they're doing.
Yeah, they do. I mean, Fender is in business to make money. Let's not fool ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I just kind of sometimes wish it didn't look so obvious, you know. I don't know. It's easy for me to criticize the McCready guitar because I'm not going to buy one.
Right. Here's a question that I asked myself. If they made a period correct copy of Alex Lifeson's Black Stratocaster, the one he used on the Exit Stage Left tour, and put the same price tag on it, would I feel different?
Yeah. Whether it's made in Mexico. His new signature Epiphone Les Paul is made in China, not even in Indonesia, and it's $1,400.
Yeah, and it's a Les Paul.
And well, yeah, I mean, I don't like single cutaway guitars, but
look behind me.
Yes, I see it.
What is that?
That I believe is Fender Custom Shop 67 Stratocaster.
Yeah, and it's black because it
Yeah,
reminds me of the one Alex Lifeson plate. Anyway,
there you go.
that's how much a nerd I am. So would I pay? Would I be fretting over? If that
Fretting.
was,
Ha ha.
would I be fretting over paying $1,900 for an Alex Lifeson Strat
Yeah.
if it had his signature? And I don't know. I've been thinking about not buying any more guitars, but I'm saying if this was not Mike McCready, but somebody that I'm not saying I don't respect Mike. I certainly respect, his work, but
Yeah.
I'm saying
And
someone I adored, like
more power
Alex
to him,
Lifeson, right?
I
I don't
would
know, like
if
how
Fender
much
called
more
me
money
tomorrow.
does McCready need? I understand Fender struggling a little bit with the
Yeah.
post-COVID market, but McCready, how much more money does that cat need?
And I wonder what that signature is worth for him,
I
because
begrudge Mike McCready's money. Hold on. That is
yeah,
definitely old man yelling at cloud right now.
yeah. I wonder, no matter who the artist is, how that works for a signature guitar, because they got to get a cut of it. I
Yeah,
did
I
John
won't
Mayer.
pretend to know, but
Yeah, John Mayer's not putting his name on a headstock without getting a cut. I mean, in addition to being what I recognize as a good guitar player, he's also a pretty good businessman, from what I understand.
so I'd imagine it's probably one of those like we pay you now like a flat fee for even doing business with us, and then you get a cut of each guitar.
Like
And what that is, I have no idea.
you get an advance, and then you get royalties, just like a record deal.
Bingo. All right.
Maybe.
Well, I'm sufficiently angry and ready to start.
Yeah, I wanted to get you riled up for this. So who's going first? You going to tell me your garbage stuff, or am I going to tell you my garbage stuff?
Listen, if that's where you're going with this, uh, I'm going to go first just
Okay,
because
you go
you're
first.
starting to rile me up.
All right, hit me with the first one.
All right. And then we'll take turns.
All right.
I heard you spout off, and I'm going to use the term spout off because it's definitely coming out of your ass. People, this is the last episode we do at the end.
Yeah, that
like,
noise you heard is people clicking unsubscribe.
You talk trash about EMG pickups, okay? And I will have none of it. If EMGs are so bad, why does David Gilmour use them? And if EMGs are so bad, why does Dave Mustaine use them? He's a tone meister. The bottom line is EMGs
are you out of your mind?
The bottom line is EMG pickups are not as bad as you make them sound. They have their place.
Yes.
In the
you're right.
industry.
They do. Then that place is in the garbage can.
How dare you, sir?
I had forgotten that David Gilmour uses EMGs. I really had. And I got to go with that's the exception that proves the rule, because Dave Mustaine does not have great tone.
Used to use them. Steve Lukather was the only other signature model that EMG had back in the day. You could get a pick guard. You could get a pick guard, a loaded pick guard.
Loaded pick guard, yeah.
Dave Gilmour, 3 single coils, or the Steve Lukather with a humbucker and 2 singles.
Yeah. And then they came out with the Zakk Wylde set. And look, I love Zakk Wylde. I do.
Yeah, you do.
He's one of my favorite guitar players, but I don't think his tone is good.
Well, maybe he's just not a great guitar player.
No, he's an amazing guitar player.
Okay.
Right?
Well, tone is in the fingers, not the pickups, bro.
Well, you got to start somewhere, man. I don't know. I have never gotten it. I have never used a set of EMGs that I liked. I've torn them out of a dozen guitars, and put passive pickups
just
in.
Because everyone on the internet has hopped on this bandwagon that EMGs suck, I expect more from you. You are an educated individual,
I like medium output pickups.
They make those.
I like medium output pickups.
They make
EMGs are not medium output.
Oh my God.
They are not.
Listen, they have their place.
All right.
Hold on. You know how they say my goal isn't to change your mind? My goal is to change your mind. You know how they say EMGs are not trash, change my mind. I'm going to say I am going to, when I have the money, I'm going to buy a set of EMG pickups for one of my guitars. I'm going to put them in that guitar, and I'm going to record something, and I'm going to do it before I replace the pickups, and I'm going to have you I'm going to A/B them, and you tell me which ones are the EMGs.
That's a dangerous game, man. That's a dangerous game. right? I'm going to tell you why.
Oh, go ahead.
A couple of years ago, I stopped powering my wah pedal with the power supply,
Mhm.
and I strictly power my wah pedal with a 9-volt battery because I can hear the difference.
Oh God, that's such a cork sniffer, Eric Johnson thing to say.
It is, and I am not proud of it, but at the same time, I am proud of it.
Cool.
Yes.
All right. So my hot take is EMGs are not that bad. You clearly do not agree with me.
Yes, I clearly do not.
Like
And I
99% of the internet. If listen, people are listening or watching this on YouTube, please put your opinion of EMGs in the comments. I'd love to
yeah,
know.
please do. I'd love to hear what people maybe Andrew can't change my mind, but maybe you can,
There you go.
listener. So
All
you
right.
can convince me. All right, here we go. Here's mine.
Go ahead.
Because and I included this one because I know that you have a penchant for cork sniffing in this arena. If Boss doesn't make it, you don't need it.
What?
If Boss doesn't make it, you don't need it.
Listen,
Boss makes everything, and their pedals are fantastic.
they do. Their pedals are fantastic.
Hey, wait, you're supposed to disagree with me.
I do. You not I've heard some turds that bosses put out. Okay, let's just say there's a
Yes.
lot of pedals in the trash can. They don't make everything anymore. I think variety is a spice of life. I think it's cool. You can't argue that it's cool that we have a choice in the market. I mean, I've seen your pedal boards. You call me a cork sniffer. Again, sir, I say, how dare you with the Strymon pedals on your board? I've seen your board, my friend.
Strymon pedal. Strymon pedal.
You don't have the trifecta yet?
No, I have the El Capistan. And honestly, I got that because of the name.
It was just, you had to have it.
Yeah, I had to have a pedal called El Capistan because that's just beautiful. That's so punny.
Do you have a Boss wah pedal?
I do not
that you power
now.
with a battery. My point is made.
I use a Dunlop wah, but I have had a Boss. It was an expression pedal that I plugged into my GP8 that took on the function of a wah when it was active on that patch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
what does Boss not do well pedal wise? Do you think there's a pedal they make that just doesn't?
I don't think Boss does high gain very well.
Really?
Yeah,
so,
I don't think
so.
I think they do low to medium gain. I think they do overdrive very well.
Mm-hmm.
I think they do distortion okay. I love the DS1. I have a Waza DS1. Thing sounds fantastic.
Oh yeah, they're really good.
But I don't think they do high gain well at all.
Metal Zone and that ilk.
Yeah, anything high gain. No, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I hear you. All right.
I mean, like literally, I'm not buying it.
Okay. No.
But I mean, they make, in my opinion, they make the absolute best pedal tuner on the market,
mm-hmm.
or made, the TU2. It's been superseded by the TU3. They make the best chorus pedal ever in the history of chorus pedals, the CE2. Right?
Their delay pedals are wicked.
Their delay pedals are amazing. I think they're up to DD8 now. I had the DD3, I had the DD5, I had the DD7.
Yep.
I have a Waza analog delay, DM2, great pedal. On my pedal board right now is the PH2 phaser, the TU2 tuner, the DD7 delay.
He's thinking, kids.
I have more than one pedal board. My other pedal board has my CE2 is down. My CE2 is busted.
Oh no.
I know, it cuts out after about 10 minutes of use. It just broke my heart, but I can't find anybody that I trust to fix it.
Maybe they could do it for you.
Maybe.
I'm
trying to think. I've used every Boss pedal that you can think of in the past, and I recommend them to people all the time.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
All right, my turn.
Okay, hit me.
Now, you in a recent episode, and if any of our listeners remember the episode, please remind me.
Please throw it back in my face.
Recent episode, my friend, you talked about single channel amps like they are the only, like that's it. Like Single channel amps are bust. Your
Okay.
your whole back line is loaded with these boutique single channel amplifiers. You proudly rock no channel switching amps in your setup. And I'm here to tell you that single channel amps are not the only option. Channel switching amps also have their place in the back line of many professional guitar players. And I say, how dare you, sir,
How
try
dare
to
I?
imply that single channel amps are the only option? How dare you? Have you no decency left, sir?
No, I do not. And I'll tell you why. Because if God, and by God I mean Leo Fender or Jim Marshall, had intended for amps to have two channels, they'd have built them that way from the beginning. You want a different sound on your amplifier? Turn it up louder.
Well, wait a minute. Single channel amps can get really loud.
Yes, they can.
That's why channel switching amp. Oh, come on. You can't begrudge
Power soaks, baby. Attenuators.
power soak. You're not afraid of technology.
No, I'm not.
Just that piece of tech, channel switching amps. Power soaks are okay. Channel switching amps no good.
Well,
Yep.
and here we're going on about this, and look behind me. I got a PV Classic 50, which is a channel switching amp, and up there is a Koch twin tone,
Channel
because it
switching
has
amp.
two channels.
Yeah, you
I
are
have
a hypocrite of the highest order.
Yeah, but do you know what? I really only use them live because I need to get a variety of sounds. When I record, I use my single channel amps.
So I would argue the one thing that can really bother me about channel switching amps, and frequently does bother me, is the psychological whiplash you get when changing channels.
Well, that's because people all right, we're going to get off on a rant here. To paraphrase Dennis Miller, that's because people, they want pristine, shimmery clean, and super compressed high gain. And those two sounds do not sound good pressed up together in a song unless you're in Nirvana.
But that's how, you hear it on the album like that.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't mean I like it. That's what the volume knob on your guitar is for. You turn
the
your
volume knob on the,
you turn your single channel amp way up. And then if you want a clean sound, you turn your guitar volume down. You use your little pinky and you turn your guitar volume down until the sound cleans up.
I got news for you. That is a dying art because of the digital age.
Yeah.
And now it's more old man yelling at cloud nonsense right now. So I love single channel amps, but
yeah, they have their place, like right behind me.
Yeah, channel
but that's
switching
it.
amps.
That's it, man. That's it, and that's it in my house. I can't. That's it. 1, 2.
Saying that my first real tube amp was a single channel. It was 100-watt Marshall.
Oh, my first real tube amp was a Crate 100-watt tube amp. It was definitely channel switching, but I never used a clean channel. Yeah. So, I played in a metal band. I didn't need a clean channel.
Yeah. So
plus, I had a volume knob on my guitar.
Well, but when I was growing up and learning how to play, the volume knob was for one thing. When I wanted to unplug my guitar, I just and then it's not. But it wasn't until I learned. Well, it wasn't until I saw someone like Jeff Beck, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Jimmy Page, and others like him,
Brian May.
When I saw them physically manipulating that volume knob to get different tones, and I didn't know it was a thing. We're going like, this is pre-internet, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'm old. So I'm like, oh, there's a whole new realm that I've never explored. But doing that on a cheap solid state amp doesn't always yield you the results you want.
That is correct.
But when I finally got a decent tube amp, I was like kid in a candy store. So what I did was, just like you said, crank the amp. And then when I wanted a clean tone, I would back the volume up. The problem is that amp was a 100-watt Super Lead
Marshall's.
100. There's only
So
one
even
place I could do that, and that
in the
was
backyard.
that in a rehearsal space when no one was there.
Yeah.
Now, then years later, I realized the best thing to do that with is like a 15, 20, 30-watt tube amp. And that's
Yeah.
what that's the Badger I was talking about earlier, the Sir
Yep.
Badger. Perfect. Even though that is now a channel switcher, it does, in my opinion, I think you run that like a single channel amp and you're golden.
Yeah. My single channel amps are 40 watts, 35 watts, and 22 watts.
I also think channel switching amps, the Rivera, I think.
Oh, now hold on. You gotta leave Rivera out of it, because those amps exist on a completely different plane from either single or double channel amps.
I went through a Rivera phase.
We both did. I had a Fandango. What did you have?
Multiple rakes, knucklehead 100s, knucklehead 50s,
Yeah,
but a couple of rakes.
I remember wanting to buy one of your rakes off you when you were selling them, but
Yeah.
I didn't have the scratch at the time.
Yeah, that's right. You and I both did go through a Rivera phase. I would go through one right now if I could. They have skyrocketed in price, and the used market's garbage. But
they just came out with a new 20-watt channel switcher with I think a 112 combo,
okay.
and I looked it up, and it's like $4,500 or something.
Yeah, see,
they're selling it exclusively through Norman's Rare Guitars. I was so disappointed.
Like, can't do this. But those are the only channel switchers I felt did a really good job of bridging that gap. Like, because you say you're right, pristine clean to like super compressed heavy, like that just, I don't know, that's not great. But well, really off on a tangent. All right, your turn.
Yeah. Okay, my turn. Let's stick with the amps. Because we're talking about single channel amps, and they get their sound primarily from tubes. So I'm going to say that new old stock, or NOS tubes, are a waste of money for any production line amp built in the last 20 years. And I'm going to say most boutique amps built in the same period as well.
NOS tubes are a waste of money?
Waste of money for most people and most amps. And here, I'll tell you why. If you want me to, I mean, you can tell me how you feel about that. I mean, I'm trying to trigger you.
What am I supposed to do with that box of Telefunken 12AX7s?
Sell them to collectors and make a bunch of money.
You think it's worthless? You think it's worthless? You can't tell the difference between a magic tube and a plain old.
Worthless is not the word I used.
No, it's true.
A waste of money for most people and most amps, especially production line amps built in the last 20, 25, maybe even 30 years.
Really?
And here's why: because
go ahead,
they are not designing those amps around NOS tubes. They are not producing those amps or testing those amps with NOS tubes in them. They are using Chinese and Russian tubes. They are using the cheapest tubes they can find.
So you believe, or
my position is,
you're inferring, your position is that an amp that was designed with a set of cheap tubes, because you're right, you're absolutely right. They not only design them with, they come with the cheapest they could put in there. You're saying putting a better quality tube in there would not make a perceivable improvement.
Oh, you'll think you hear a difference because you just dropped a bunch of money on a 35 or 45-year-old Telefunken or a Mullard from the 1950s. Right. And I'll tell you what, if that
confirmation bias in effect.
Exactly. If that Mullard tube from 1958 was as good as you think it is, it would have stayed in the device that it was in until it popped.
Oh, man.
And they would have wore it out in whatever function it was being worn out in back then.
Oh, God, I love this.
Yeah. So, yeah, don't waste your money. Now, and here's the thing, right? Mm-hmm. You will get more tonal variation by swapping the type of tube in your preamp than you will the brand. especially in the phase inverter section. If you if you've got
Yeah.
a 12AX7 in the phase inverter and you drop that to a 12AT7 or even a 12AY7,
hmm
you're going to hear more of a tonal difference in your amp than if you put a 1962 Telefunken tube in the phase inverter spot.
I'm triggered. I'm triggered.
That's okay.
No, so first of all, I agree with that statement. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
The type of tube makes a tremendous difference.
Yeah.
Tremendous. And in V1, if you're looking to clean up an amp or
Oh yeah, absolutely. Go to a 12AY7.
I don't know. You know what? I can't argue because I don't have
Because I'm right, is what you mean.
I don't have I only have anecdotal evidence. I don't have hard evidence to say, yes, I had a Mesa Boogie dual rectifier. His hand is up because he does.
Absolutely.
I I feel like I feel like when I had Rivera amps, I feel like Rivera amps were very sensitive to the type and brand and like manufacturer of tubes. I feel like that
I would agree.
because I do feel like now I wasn't buying NOS tubes. I was buying JJs. I was, through your tubes. And what are JJs? They're, you know,
I think they're made in the Slovak Republic.
Yeah. So
or the Czech Republic. I forget which
not
one.
not NOS tubes, but I do
No,
feel like they were better. They made the amp
absolutely.
feel and sound better than Chinese. Okay, so what I'm saying is if replacing the cheap Chinese tubes that came with the Rivera with the European tubes and it made a world of difference, doesn't it stand to reason that it's possible that replacing tubes with NOS tubes, especially ones known for their, cork sniffing, isn't it possible they can make a difference?
Is it possible? Yeah. Is it probable that most people are going to hear it? No. Look, and now I have more than anecdotal. Now, of course, when I'm telling you it's anecdotal, but I've done this.
Okay.
I came into a Hammond, what's called a chord organ, which was something you would have seen in like your grandma's parlor that, just kind of, they would sit down on Sundays or at Christmas and play songs on and everybody would sing. And it was very easy to play. But this thing was so old, it was chock-a-block full of tubes from the 1950s.
Cool.
Okay. And this thing was practically brand new. It had very low hours on it. I got it from some old lady who said that her husband bought it for her. She tried to play it, couldn't figure it out, and it sat collecting dust. So I stripped all the tubes out of it because it wasn't the organ itself wasn't worth anything.
Okay. But the tubes might have been.
And I spent weeks swapping those in and out of my amps. And I'll tell you what, these two amps here behind me that are meant for higher gain applications, zero tonal difference, zero between an RCA from the 1950s or 60s and a JJ or a Sovtech from the 1990s. No tonal difference. Absolutely none.
Interesting.
These are PCB amps designed around the lowest bidder for tubes.
I do, and I appreciate that insight. And I think you make a good point that many modern amps, people may not realize, unfortunately, that a lot of the tone generation isn't coming from the tubes.
Nope. It's coming from the diodes.
The tubes are in there. They light up.
Yeah.
They're hot. But yeah, now I'm telling you, I also know that because I have one of those amps in house. I don't know if I ever told you this. I have an EVH Iconic.
Yeah, actually you did tell me that.
Okay. Fantastic sounding amplifier at bedroom volumes. I don't know how it sounds at gig volume. Haven't turned it up. I've heard mixed reviews of it. The point of that amp was not to take it to a gig. It weighs 700 pounds. But it's not a secret that the gain is not all coming from the tubes, the
Right.
preamp tubes. There's
Yeah.
now
Help.
the designer of that amp, James Brown, not the other
Not
James,
that James Brown.
the other
No
one.
relation.
Nope. He's good with diode circuits for overdrive. Like
Yeah.
that's something he's really good at. And
And
I
good for
think,
him.
yeah. So I bought it completely knowing, where the tone was coming from. Didn't
Yeah.
bother me. And I completely agree. Replacing those tubes with expensive tubes would probably be not probably, it would be pointless.
It'd be a waste of money.
Yeah, absolute waste of money. So, but I know that amp's getting a lot of gain from. I would argue many modern amps might be the same way. We just don't know it.
And I did say, I want to point out that I said for any production line amp built in the last 20 to 25 years.
Yeah.
If
So
you have a Fender Princeton from 1957 and you can find NOS tubes to put in that, that's going to make a difference. That amp is going to sound different with period correct tubes compared to putting a full set of brand new JJs in it.
yeah.
It's going to sound different. Absolutely.
I see where you're going. All right. Well,
Like
can't argue with you.
A 1972 Fender Twin Reverb, a Marshall Super Lead.
All right. Your hot take.
Yeah.
All right.
But I'm
going
right.
to hit you with
this time. I'm not always right, but I'm right this time.
not going to argue. This one, I'm right about.
Okay.
All right.
I'll trust you.
And
Let me hear it.
Telecasters are decent guitars. Not only decent, they're good guitars.
Oh, why couldn't you just stop at decent?
They're good guitars.
You know how when you go to somebody's house, that your mom maybe, or one of your aunts or your grandma told you there's two things you never talk about in polite company. One of those things is religion. The other one is Telecasters. The only purpose I have for a Telecaster is to bolt legs to it and make it a coffee table.
Listen here, my friend.
I might be trolling you, Andrew.
You might be. Okay. The Telecaster has its shortcomings.
Of which there are many.
Especially the early ones, like the real early ones. Leo Fender did not completely hit it out of the park with the Telecaster, but he came damn close to perfection.
Well, yeah, if he was designing furniture.
Oh my God. You called him God earlier.
Amps, big difference.
Right.
Coming from the guy who loves Stratocasters. Look behind me on the wall. One of my favorite Stratocasters. I love that guitar. Leo Fender designed that guitar.
The Telecaster, my friend, one of the first electric guitars, the solid body guitars that hit the market. That thing, it was heavy. It was difficult to intonate because it only had 3 saddles.
Right? Non-compensated saddles.
Non-compensated saddles.
Yeah.
Also, it was heavy. Have I mentioned that it was heavy?
Yeah, you mentioned it was heavy.
All right. But the Telecaster has evolved over the years, and it's responsible for countless tones, hit songs. You can't swing a dead cat in the music industry without hitting a hit song that was recorded with a Telecaster. It is the quintessential rhythm guitar tone. Nothing sounds like it.
That is absolutely something we agree on, Andrew. Nothing sounds like a Telecaster.
Even those new Paul Reed Smiths that look like Telecasters,
they don't sound like Telecasters because they're not Telecasters. They are they are T style guitars. And that's the saving grace. That's the one thing. When you need a Telecaster, nothing sounds like a Telecaster.
Nope.
And if you hear that sound in your head, you have got to have one.
Yep.
But like a lot of things in the music industry, people have turned the Telecaster into a bludgeon. Right? What do they say with a Telecaster, right? A Telecaster hides no faults.
I can't argue with that.
Well, tell me a guitar that hides faults. It's the amps that hide faults. Gain hides faults. Right? Most people play Telecasters through clean or cleanish amps. So you're going to hear every error. You're going to hear every clam. You're going to hear every finger squeak. But, and I agree, absolutely, nothing sounds like the Rolling Stones would not sound like the Rolling Stones if neither one of them guys had ever played a Telecaster.
Don't you have a
It's
George Harrison guitar that
I
has a certain
absolute
style? What is
absolutely.
that? What is that guitar?
That's a Telecaster.
You flaming hypocrite.
Well, okay, two things. I love George Harrison. He's my hero.
He's the
He
best.
really
Is he
is.
really? I thought Brian May was your hero.
Brian May's my number one hero. George Harrison's also a
Oh,
hero.
dude, I could talk about George Harrison forever. I love that
Yeah.
guy.
I love that guy, right?
All
And
right.
I was crushed when he passed away.
Me too.
And I wanted to hunt down the guy that stabbed him and stab him.
Right,
Right.
right.
And also, once again, nothing sounds like a Telecaster.
Right.
And every now and then when I'm making a recording, I need a Telecaster
That hasn't been converted into a table.
that hasn't been converted into a table. That is correct.
If you're not a fan of the original Telecaster, thankfully G&L makes a damn good alternative Telecaster.
The ASAT, right?
I have one, and
Yeah.
that's the Telecaster I have. And
So
it
you
is
don't actually
phenomenal.
have a Telecaster. You have an ASAT.
I have an evolved. I have a Telecaster evolved
There
with
you go. I'll allow it.
updated pickups that sound great and like a Telecaster. 6 individual saddles. It doesn't weigh a ton. It's a
Yeah.
great guitar. Now, if I wanted a Telecaster, I would go get an actual, but they have
You
their
don't need one.
place. I don't
Yeah.
need one. I got this one.
Yeah. And I know that my displeasure with the Telecaster comes from my own history of not really liking single cutaway guitars. I know that about me now. I don't like Les Pauls either. And I mean, Telecaster and Les Paul, that's the sound of Led Zeppelin. I love me some Led Zeppelin. I even love the Telecaster albums when he was playing his Telecaster through a tiny little tube amp cranked way up. You know,
Yeah.
nothing sounds like a Telecaster, especially when Jimmy Page plays it.
The Stairway to Heaven guitar solo
Yeah, but
is a Telecaster through a Supro, I believe.
I've tried repeatedly over the years to love Telecasters and Les Pauls, and I've owned between the two models, I probably owned a dozen of them. And right now I have one. I have a Telecaster, the George Harrison Telecaster, which was a splurge. And if I had better impulse control, I probably wouldn't have bought it.
Well, let me say this. Remember earlier I said Telecasters are decent or good guitars?
Well, you said both things. I'll allow decent.
Okay. I don't love my Telecaster either, or my ASAT. I don't love it. I like it. When I need a Telecaster sound, you're
There
right.
you go.
Nothing sounds like it, period. End of game. But I wouldn't bring that to a gig and use it for a whole gig.
Yeah.
Wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know how my singer does it. She plays the same electric guitar over and over. It's a Nashville Telly, which basically means a Telly with Strat pickups.
Oh,
basically.
Just get a Strat.
But she doesn't like Strats. She likes Tellys.
But she has Strat pickups.
I know.
All right. I don't like that. I'm scared of that.
That's okay.
I don't trust that. All right. Yeah. Your turn.
My turn. Every pickup should be noiseless.
Every pickup?
Every pickup should be noiseless.
What?
Every single pickup.
What?
Now, humbuckers are naturally noiseless. So I'm talking about P90s, traditional single coils, Telly pickups, Jazzmaster pickups, Jaguar pickups. They should all be noiseless. We have the technology, we have the talent, we have the tools, we can do it. Stop making traditional single coils. They do not sound that much better than noiseless pickups.
You couched that. You didn't say they don't sound better. You said they don't sound that much better. I heard you.
I did.
I'm going to say this. How dare you deprive those
how dare you? I love any statement that starts with how dare you.
How dare you deprive the Gen Zers from that sweet 60 cycle hum?
Oh,
how dare you? They deserve it just as much as the baby boomers, dude. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but just because we suffered through it doesn't mean they have to.
I think they
We're
should
supposed
suffer
to be,
more.
we're supposed to be making the world a better place for our children, Andrew.
Well,
And we can do that with noiseless pickups.
I think we're well beyond that climate change. Anyway, here's the thing. I I love me a good noiseless pickup. I would have agreed with you until I heard the Fender custom shop pickups.
But really listen to that guitar sometime.
Mhm.
They're not that noisy. They've done something. Now, I'm not saying that they've done anything untoward,
Because they're
right?
supposed
Because
to be vintage spec pickups.
that's right. This guitar on the wall behind me has 2 FCS single coil pickups in it.
Mhm.
And they are far and away quieter than any other single coils I've owned in any guitar.
You know, it's funny you mentioned that. So, all right, this is where we get off on a tangent, but I have to do it.
Hit me.
One of my Fender custom shops, he said, sniffing a cork. The yellow one with has the 3 single coils.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And behind me, there lives 2 Friedman amplifiers, not known for their low gain.
No.
And yet, I'm able to get those amplifiers to a fairly decent level of overdrive without hearing a ton of 60 cycle hum
Yeah.
with that guitar, with that vintage correct Stratocaster.
Yeah.
Seriously. And I started thinking to myself, maybe these are noiseless. And then, no, they're not, because a lot of things interfere. You can hear the noise. You can hear a little bit of hum. Like there's a certain amount of gain where you hear it. But here's the other thing. There's some guitars I have with humbuckers that also have noise.
Yeah.
So I think I have the cleanest power in this place? No.
Not in an apartment building. No way.
No. So there's something to be said for good wired single coil pickups in a guitar that's been wired correctly
And properly shielded.
I don't think they're all that loud. I think we can live with that noise, Wes. I don't want my single coil pickups to be all noiseless. I think the process of making pickups noiseless, affects the tone
It does.
enough. My ears hear the difference, and I
well,
want that hum.
Technically, any noiseless single coil is a humbucker. It has 2 coils that are reverse wound, reverse polarity, because that's how you get humbucking.
That's how you get that right.
Hum canceling, right? And Kinman, manufacturer of noiseless pickups out of Australia, they just got quiet. I think the guy got old and he stopped making so much noise.
Really? Because I had his pickups. They do?
Yeah. They still make pickups.
I thought he went out of business.
Well, it would have been recently because I just ordered a set like 6 months ago.
Okay. Seriously, I looked into it at one point. We were talking about him. I looked it up and his website was down. So maybe it's temporary.
Maybe. One of the things that I remember very clearly from their website is they do not call their pickups noiseless. They call them hum free.
Really?
Yes. Because I think in there he says somewhere noise is an inherent characteristics of many pickups. And they're not interested in getting rid of the tonal characteristics introduced by a little bit of noise. What they're interested in getting rid of is that 60 cycle hum.
Okay. All right. It looks like Kinman might still be up.
Fantastic. Good for them.
So Chris Kinman, Australian, you are correct. I forget which pickups of his. It might have been he had the Woodstock Plus 2
or
something like that.
Those were his Hendrix analogs.
Yeah. They were pretty good.
Yeah. But absolutely. I fully agree.
Yeah. Kinman makes he's really, you never hear about that guy anymore. You Lawlers, Fralins.
Yeah.
Now bare knuckles making the rounds. But you never really hear about Kinman's. Okay. So Wes thinks that all pickups should be noiseless. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think that noise is a charm. I love it. Can't get enough of it. Bring more noise. I want more noise. I want more 60 cycle.
I like a girl with a limp just as much as the next guy.
I've never known you to be this opinionated. Who are you?
Hey, this is
He's
the
just
hot take episode.
This is the hot take episode. All right, my turn. And
This is
listen,
evil Wes.
I saved the best for last, my friend. Well, at least
Okay.
last for me.
Oh, is it my turn or your turn?
My turn.
Oh, that's right. I just said every pickup should be noiseless. I stand by that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's one I stand by.
Okay.
All right. All you boutique cable buyers out there, you're all suckers. All of you. Boutique cables are 100% snake oil. How do I know? I know. It's cable. It's only so much you can do. It's cable, it's solder, it's jacks. There's no technology. Just get over yourselves. There is no boutique cable. Who's spending hundreds of dollars on a cable? And there's no tone. I hear no difference. You're all suckers, and stop wasting your money.
I will agree with you that boutique high-end cables are 100% snake oil, all of them except for the ones I use.
All of them except the ones you use.
Except for the rattlesnake cables that I use. Those are amazing.
You like rattlesnake cables because of they have one feature that you like.
They do. They have one feature that I really, really love, and that's the snake head. So they're kind of heavy duty cables, and they have a hard fabric weave sleeve over the inner PVC, but they stop it about a foot from the plug so that it doesn't. So if you're a cable through the strap wrapper like I am, that weave doesn't damage the finish on the butt of your guitar. And I think it's a brilliant idea. I wish that I had an opportunity to monetize it when I first thought of it, but the folks at Rattlesnake, they figured it out. They thought of it too, and they put it into operation, and it is fantastic. Mm-hmm. And I have their guitar cables. I have a bunch of them, and I have their speaker cables as well, all of which are high quality ends. But they also don't make any kind of claims that, their cables are going to make you sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan or anything. What I like about them is they are consistent. They don't go bad in time. I've had a couple of them for a couple years, no problems. And they're sturdy. You can roll your office chair over them, your studio chair over them, and not worry about wrecking them because of that sheath that's on that protective covering on the outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't worry about people stepping on them on stage. I don't worry about them getting amps and stuff stacked on top of them. And they come in a variety of lovely colors. But they're made in America, right? So right there, that means they're going to cost more because American labor costs more than other labor.
You know what else is made in America? The cables I made myself for 1/50th of the price.
Yeah. But I didn't have to make them. All I had to do was clickety click, and give them a credit card number. And a week and a half later, my cables showed up in the mail.
I know. Listen.
There's a lot of crazy claims out there with cables, man. And I'll be the first to admit that. And that's one of the things I like about Rattlesnake is they're not making a bunch of crazy claims. They're just saying our cables are really high quality and you're going to love them. And I do.
Well, you're entitled to your opinion.
Oh, that was nicely done, Andrew.
Thank you. And hey, look, I will never tell a fool where to spend his money. He can spend it anywhere. I'm just telling you.
Dude.
I have never spent more than a Mogami. A Mogami cable. Mogami cables
that are made out of like gold stripped off the teeth of, I'm not going to go there.
Wish Dragons, yes. Yeah. Mogamis are expensive cables, and I don't know what they cost, and I won't look it up. You feel free to Professor Google it, but
yeah,
Mogamis are expensive cables, and I will not buy expensive cables anymore. I don't remember the last time I bought an expensive cable because
you make them.
I make them, and I do that because I got sick of spending stupid stupid amounts of money
for a cable that
on,
goes bad in 3 months.
well, even if they never go bad, even if it never goes bad and I get a lifetime of use out of it, it feels icky.
Yeah.
I know it's weird to spend the money I spent on some of the guitars in this room and then give you fuff over $50
I get it,
cable.
man. I get it. I get it.
There's isn't that weird? But I can't build those guitars. I can't make a Paul Reed Smith in my freaking bedroom, but I
No, but you
can.
can make a really great cable.
That's what it is. I can make a cable, and if it goes bad, I have no one to blame but myself.
That's right.
And
And
my shoddy soldering.
if I lived 5 miles from you, I would pay you to make my cables.
If you lived 5 miles from me, you'd get your cables for free, my friend.
Well, you got to let me pay for materials because that's just fair.
No, I wouldn't do that. No, your friendship is enough for me, my friend.
Oh, 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 oh. I don't even want to hit
high
you.
road.
You did, man. You did.
Wouldn't charge you for cables.
You high roaded me. You high roaded me.
You know what I would do? I would ask you to make me a vegetarian dinner. That would make my heart smile.
Do you like spicy food?
Damn right I do. An American.
Oh, yeah. I got you. I got you, man.
I like it on the way in.
Oh, yeah.
Right,
I made a mistake with my chili the other night. I'm just not going to get into it for you.
Do you have one more for me?
I have one more for you.
All right.
Now we both of us, each of us owns a Fender custom shop guitar.
Uh-huh. Do you also have a jar of Grey Poupon in the refrigerator?
I do not. I actually get generic Kroger brand mustard.
Because you're broke from that Fender custom shop.
Yeah, maybe. No. But I did not get my Fender custom shop until after I paid my daughter's last semester of tuition.
Yeah. Yeah. Priorities.
That's right.
My son's in college. I'll be selling some guitars. I'm sure of it.
Yeah. I believe as a Fender custom shop owner, that the real value of the Fender custom shop as a whole is their pickups. Right?
Just
because and here, let me explain. Okay. Let me explain the pickups
that you can go ahead because
that you can buy from Fender or any of their authorized retailers, because
I love
there is nothing that you can do to a guitar that gives you more return on investment than putting Fender custom shop pickups in it.
Wow. He said in his best Owen Wilson.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, you got that. Wow.
Wait, so you
I'm not downplaying the quality of a Fender custom shop guitar. What I'm saying is that the real value of the Fender custom shop is their pickups, because they are far more accessible to far more guitar players than the actual Fender custom shop guitars. See, it needed a little explanation.
The value of the custom shop.
The value of the Fender custom shop is the real value is their pickups.
Okay, not the real value of a custom shop instrument.
Is the pickups, right? Because, I mean, on my Jazzmaster, it has hands down the best manufacturer fretwork I have ever seen since my 1989 PRS Custom 24.
Okay.
Hands down.
My experience with the Fender custom shop instruments I have is the same. The fretwork is stupid good. It's stupid good how good that guitar intonates across the entire fretboard between that and the Peterson strobe tuner I got. And you know which one I'm talking about? The 490. Between, it's stupid. It's when they say guitars don't intonate properly, I'm like, these guitars give that statement a run for the money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I had to adjust the neck. Dude, I took now, of course, I slacked the strings. I'm not just going to start unbolting the neck. I slacked the strings. Yeah. I slacked the strings and took the bolts out and the neck did not come off. It
Correct.
didn't slide. It didn't shift. I had to carefully push it out of the neck pocket.
The neck pocket is more than airtight.
Yeah, I have never seen a guitar with a more accurately milled neck pocket and neck combination
Nope.
than a Fender Custom Shop guitar.
I've never seen anything like it. When you told me that, I actually was looking forward to taking the neck off the both of these guitars to adjust the intonation to see
Yeah.
if my experience would be the same. And in fact, it was.
Yeah. So I'm not in any way downplaying the Fender Custom Shop guitars, but some of the master builders have a 5-year wait list.
Wow.
Yeah, right. And if you get a team built guitar, new ones, they cost $5,000, which if you've got it, great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super happy for you that you get to buy a brand new Fender Custom Shop guitar. I'm a little jealous, but you can take, I got a parts caster, the surf caster of doom, right? Mm-hmm. It's got an American Performer neck on it. It's got an American Professional 2 body on it. It's got a man-made bridge and Fender Custom Shop pickups, and it sounds amazing. It sounds amazing. Does it play like a Fender Custom Shop guitar? Absolutely not, because it isn't one.
Okay.
But it sounds fantastic.
So sounds like you rank Fender Custom Shop pickups really high.
Number 2 to Fralin.
Number 2 to Fralin. You would put Fralin's right at the top.
Absolutely. And I'll admit most of that is because I can just hop downtown and pick up my order.
Really? So because you live that close to them. So you're saying if that was not the case, Fender Custom Shop pickups might be your number one, like your go-to.
Yeah, easier to get. They cost less, and it takes less time to get them.
Wow.
Right? I got to wait for Fralin to make my pickups. You know, that could take 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks sometimes, depending on how backed up they are. But I can go on Reverb and find a brand new set of Fender Custom Shop pickups tomorrow and get them here overnight. I could have them here on Saturday.
I mean, the real value of the custom shop is the pickups that they designed.
Yeah.
So, man, that's an interesting take.
And here you thought you were going to be able to chow down on that, right?
So
come at me, bro. Come at me, bro.
Thinking about this one, and what I'm wondering is, you might know this. I don't know the answer to this. I'm going to pose it as something to think about. Does the Fender Custom Shop, how much business do you think that custom shop does to the, like, how much do you think it contributes to the bottom line from a financial perspective? And how much do you think the Fender Custom Shop, the fact that it exists in the first place, like how much does that do for Fender from like a brand perspective and like artist relation? Like, this is the conversation I'm having, is like, we can't possibly know the answer to these, but I'm thinking like, okay, so the pickups are a great value. So first of all, I didn't know they were this good until I got them in my hand.
Yeah.
Now that I have them in my hand, you are 100% right. These pickups are really good. Like, I don't know what they do differently from other companies, but these things are really good.
They sprinkle magic on them.
Magic fairy dust. Is it because we spent a lot of money on them? I don't know. Confirmation bias? I don't know. All I know is the tones I want and I hear them in my head, I can get them very quickly and very easily with these pickups that I could not before. So something about them. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's just get that part out of the way. There's something about them. Other than that, what does the custom shop do for Fender? How much do they contribute to the bottom line? And what does it do for them from a brand and like relations perspective? I don't know.
I don't know. And I don't believe Fender is a public company, so we can't really get revenue numbers, and they wouldn't be obligated to tell us how many Fender Custom Shop guitars they crank out in a year, at any rate. But
Do you think the custom shop offers anything to the production value of like techniques that they put into place? Like, is any like I think there
I
was a
think
time
there's
when
got to be some
Fender.
trickle down.
Here's what I'm saying. Thinking about rolled fingerboard edges, there
Yeah.
was a time when you could not find a guitar with rolled fingerboard edges
Yep.
other than
And now
custom
they're
shop.
everywhere.
Now they're everywhere. I think what the custom shop does is find ways to produce these great features and teach them how to reproduce them cheaply.
Yeah. I think you might be right on. I think you might be onto something. I know, for example, I happen to know this because I figured it out. When you look at BMW, the car manufacturer, right? They also make motorcycles. Did you know that?
Yes, I actually did know that because
Okay.
of I
Because of me.
exist. Yeah, I exist in your circle.
So I had to figure it out for an argument that I was desperately trying to win one time. Um, and I figured out, based on the numbers from their last annual report, motorcycles make up about 7 to 8% of BMW's global revenue.
Okay.
It's basically an accounting error, right? They could stop making motorcycles tomorrow and they would not take a big financial hit as a result.
That's scary, actually,
Yeah.
because their motorcycles have a huge fan base.
Yeah, they do. And I think the same is probably true for the Fender Custom Shop. If they closed it tomorrow, the PR hit would be bigger than the financial hit.
Which is a shame.
Yeah.
Like, because PRS has custom shop, right? What do they call them? What's
Private
that
stock.
program called? Private stock. Thank you. And Gibson has a
Custom shop.
So
But with PRS, do you remember all of the guff they took when they went from only making private stocks on order to making them on spec and allowing dealers to order private
yeah,
stocks?
but I got to be
from
honest
like
with
a
you.
check sheet?
I think it was a brilliant idea. Number one,
That was a moneymaker for sure.
it was brilliant. I think. Number two, I still can't afford a private stock.
Nope.
I've never seen a private stock guitar that I'm like, yeah, I could buy that.
Nope.
But I was able to afford a couple of Fender custom shops.
And if I could, I'll tell you what, if I could afford a PRS private stock, I would buy a vintage Fender instead.
You know, I'm not sure. I don't agree with you there. I think
we can agree to disagree.
I'm saying I do agree. I just use a double negative.
Gotcha.
Because I'm an idiot.
I missed that.
Yeah, that's how I roll. Okay, come at me. I use a double negative with a professor on a Zoom call. I kind of think
get out my ruler, thwack your hands.
Yeah, I know. I kind of think that the private stock program getting open to dealers was the best thing they could do, because until then, all they were doing was making a handful of instruments.
One-offs, yeah.
One-offs. I mean, I think
by opening the private stock program to dealers, they were able to get more private stock guitars into the hands of players. And that's essentially what the team built Fender Custom Shop is, right? There's nothing. My Custom Shop Jazzmaster was not built as a single order. It was a team built instrument. They made a few hundred of these, closet classic Jazzmasters. It was just it was a line that they did, gave the team something to do. And I don't know if you've ever priced a master built custom shop guitar, but they're 10 grand too, just like a private stock.
Right. And that's what, one person doing it.
Yeah. That's where one person builds your guitar from start to finish.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
Hey, look, if we could afford it, we would do it.
I really like the team built guitars,
I know that. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to wait 5 years for a one-off. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't have that kind of patience.
And
what do you used one? I see used ones in the $6,000 to $8,000 range.
Jesus.
I mean, that's I mean, let's not mince words. That's a shit ton of money for a guitar. I could definitely see myself justifying that kind of purchase later. when my daughter's paying her own car insurance and health insurance.
Right. And you're asking for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
So
that's another whole episode. Yeah, I think we are done with our hot takes. I really appreciated that. It was fun to kind of spar with you about some stuff.
We're still good? We still friends?
Yeah, we're still good, man. We're still good. I mean, the Telecaster thing is not a deal breaker for me in as far as friends go, because I know too many people that love Telecasters. And if I refused to associate with anybody who played a Telecaster or liked them, I would have no friends.
You know why we're still friends, Wes?
It's not the Telecaster thing, that's for sure.
No, but because if I played a Telecaster through an old Fender, it would be a black panel Fender amp.
Yes.
That's why we're still friends.
That's right.
Okay. Or a brown panel. I don't discriminate.
No. But yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for the Host Do Battle episode number 11 of Different Strings, a guitar podcast. Andrew, remind people one more time on this incredibly short episode that we've produced, where people can find us on the internet.
You can get to us, and you should get at us at differentstringspodcast.com. Again, differentstringspodcast.com, blog posts, links to past episodes, and all sorts of other goodies. Come at us with your hot takes.
Yeah, and give us your comments and on what we think, and I want to hear what Boss pedals you use more than anything else.
I want to know what boutique cables you're using, because I'm going to come to your house and steal them and replace them with my handcrafted cables. I will charge.
Dude, that's a retirement industry job for you, man. When you retire from your normal day job, you go into the boutique cable business.
Okay. All right. It sounds good. I'll just come up with some snake oil, some hype marketing.
It's all about marketing.
We're back on it. Like, we're right back on it. So listen, good episode. And do we tell everyone goodbye?
Yeah, we do.
Should we also tell them that Music That Matters is going to be available as well?
Yeah, Music That Matters is coming in a separate session, a separate episode, if you will. So stay tuned for that.
All right.
And I think you're going to be excited for the one that comes out the same week as this episode.